Rockpile Report podcast. I am your host, Bill, season ticket holder Drew Gear. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive, Chris. There's the Buffalo Bills advance, survive in advance. We made it through. Sunday might have been was that not the most fun we've had in that stadium the entire season? Like, tell me when you've had more fun being inside of Ralph Wilson Stadium this year.
I mean, that game was something else. I mean, I didn't expect to win it. I didn't pick us to win that game in my pool, but it was. Chiefs never led, did they?
Not for a second. Not a single second.
Bitches.
All right. So what I'll say is this. Guys, there's something about the way this game went, just the feel of it, from the jump, the Buffalo Bills were not just in, but seemingly in control. It was an authoritative game, and there's a lot that goes into that. But before I get carried away talking about the game itself, I want to talk about the day and all the people who traveled in to come see us. Thank you to everybody who showed up for the tailgate, especially, obviously Nick and his family. And Chris, who all did we host this week? It was crazy.
You know what is shocking?
Eric Harris came in from the Pacific Northwest, who we spent yesterday having wings with.
Yes, and you had your first taste of Adolph's.
Yeah.
The Gary Smith came in from New Jersey,
Gary Smith showing up to the thing unannounced is just one of the coolest.
I thought it was going to happen because I was talking to him at the tailgate. He was at James McCann at Helium the night before. Same show I was. But he got seated like right next to the entrance. So that's why I never saw him.
I love already in the comments, Oliver, was it me or was the game flag free compared to ass pounded by the refs? I'll tell you what happens when Carl Sheffers refs a game. Generally speaking,
flags go away.
He lets the guys play. He is like if you were talking about Saruman the White, he is your Gandalf the White. And that's to Sean Hockley. If Sean Hockley is Saruman the White, that's Carl Sheffers is Gandalf. And I love every second of that they are the antithesis of one another and how they approach the officiating of football. And I love every second of it. I love that what we got to watch was both teams go out there and play a very physical, technically sound game of football that wasn't muddied up by a million flags.
You know what we have to get to?
What?
Before I forget, we got to give old shout out to Newman Farm for the pork. That pork belly. I went to Iman's house and I dropped him off the slate of pork that was mailed to me. And he was like, oh, this looks like it's quality meat. It'll cut good. He spent 4 hours Saturday night prepping it. He cut open the vacuum sealed pork belly and then realized it was double the size because it folded out and you had a huge pork belly, which he also said he was picking pig hairs out of it as part of prep. That's how quality this pork was that we got from Newman Farm.
It was so good that he saved the fat for me because he was like, this is such high quality. I know you don't want to waste this, Drew. You're going to go make some tallow with it. I was like, you're damn right I will. This is going to be awesome. So Newman Farms, thank you so much. And also, Chris, we're going to have a promotional cook video with the pork porterhouse chop that they sent.
Yes.
We're going to do a smothered Q42 Parmesan encrusted pork chop. And I'm going to make an instructional video showing you guys how to make it. I can't wait.
Will you be wearing a shirt?
We're going to try, but I'm not promising anything.
You know what you know what you should do? Because, you wear the black gloves. You should have that same material as a shirt.
Just a latex shirt.
Yes.
There's EDM music in the background as I make this pork video. And then also a giant shout out to Montucky Cold Snacks. Chris, we're back, baby.
Yeah.
We're back. Garrett from Montucky Cold Snacks and EJ Gallo flew out and attended the tailgate and got to see up close and personal what the Grills Mafia tailgate's all about. I've been texting with him all week. I love this guy.
Yeah, you know what? I went to it was like midday. I went to the truck and I was like, I haven't put on my sunglasses yet. And I put on my sunglasses, and within 10 minutes, I saw him like walk up. And I mean, I've never met the guy or spoke to him, but he was wearing his Montucky shirt, and I'm like, hey, Montucky.
Guys, we are the Montucky Cold Snacks, proud sponsor of the Rockpile Report podcast. We are happy to rep a fine drinking beverage that, I'm not going to lie to you, everyone in the parking lot loved this stuff. The frat kids playing beer pong behind us. I walked around just kind of being like, hey, take one and tell me you don't like that.
Yeah, we had people in from England, and I gave him one. I'm like, you got to try this.
Yeah, exactly. Oliver, Rockpile sponsored by Montucky. And what's funny is Kyle, the beer guy in the chat, it's all his fault. Kyle sent us Montucky as a joke, thinking that we would be like, oh no, Montucky Cold Snacks. He goes, here we treat it like a Coors Light. I go, no, this is Coors Light with like snakeskin boots on. This has flavor. It's got personality. I love it. And we've re-upped our partnership for the 2025 season with Montucky Cold Snacks. I'm very much looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to working with them.
We're going to get him in
more of this.
We're going to get him into Cheektowaga Country Club.
Oh,
Mark was there. I told Garrett, I'm like, you want to meet our attorney? And he was like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm like, no, he owns this bar, Cheektowaga Country Club. He would love to have Montucky Cold Snacks in his establishment.
I told them on our, like when we did like an introductory call, I told them my dream is to be able to walk into my corner bar and just pick one up. God forbid I get it on draft. I'll burn the town down. Guys, it was an amazing afternoon. The weather was gorgeous. The people were great. The food was better. And, Palmer's giving us, for those of you who haven't seen it on Twitter, Palmer's Markets gave us tomahawk ribeye steaks with Grills Mafia laser engraved into the bone.
Yeah, they got a laser engraver now.
Guys, do we or do we not partner with some of the best companies and people on earth? You're never going to have a bad time at the Grills Mafia tailgate because we've made too many friends for it to ever go sideways. I love it. Hopefully the rest of you and who came out and enjoyed it loved it, and just everybody can. Hopefully we can keep these vibes at an all-time high, considering that's all our wide receiver core is going to be powered by for the rest of the year. But this is not a trade deadline podcast. We actually already recorded a short one of those before we went live. This is a recap. Buffalo Bills 28, Kansas City Chiefs 21. Let's get into it. Chris, first of all, what liquor am I taking off the back bar? Pick one. Dealer's choice.
I would say go your side up top, the one that's 1792 that's almost empty. I think that's a single barrel.
I've had a bad time with 1792s.
Okay, well then why don't you go Woodinville on the bottom? Woodinville 8-year rye.
Bang. Done.
That's my most expensive bourbon.
Well, that's because you paid for shipping.
I didn't pay for shipping. I just picked it up at Cordially Yours.
Oh, they got it for you?
Yeah. But that was before I knew what the price was. I heard it was coming out, and I was like, you guys going to get this? And then they did, and then I saw it was $129.
And he's like, well, shit, you already ordered it.
It doesn't drink $129. I'd probably go 85 on it.
Stats of the game. Josh Allen, 23 of 26, 88.5% completion percentage, 273 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 rushes for 19 yards and 2 touchdowns, a 123.3 QBR, and sets the franchise record for completion percentage in a single game. On the other side of the ball, Patrick Mahomes, 15 to 34, 44%. Literally half of Allen's 250-yard, 0 touchdown. Like 44% to 88%, Chris. I don't know. Is that bad?
Yeah.
I feel like this is the
I think
movie.
it was his worst statistical game.
It's like the movie Grandma's Boy, where they're just like, when he plays DDR and he breaks the high score, he goes, high score, is that bad? Did I break it? I'm sorry, is this bad? Having half the completion percentage of your opponent, is that a bad thing? I don't know. I don't know. And then 250 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick, 1 rush for 5 yards, and a 57.2 QBR. It's the worst completion percentage in a single game of Patrick Mahomes' career. Running back James Cook, 114 yards on 27 carries. Chiefs defensive line, Chris Jones, 2 pressures, 1 stop, 0 impact plays. Kansas City pass catchers, not a single player with over 80 yards. Time of possession, Buffalo finishes with a 9-minute and 30-second time of possession advantage. Third down conversions, Kansas City, 3 of 13 for 23%. Buffalo, 7 of 12 for 58%. Notable numbers, Chris. I'm going to throw 2 at you. The number 47.
That's how fast OJ was going.
It was the slowest chase ever. No, that's the number of games that Josh Allen now has both thrown for and rushed for a touchdown, which is the new NFL record. And the number is 0. 0. What am I thinking of?
I have no idea.
Passing or rushing touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes, which is the first time it's happened since October of 2024. And it's a rarity in his career. Chris, when we're sitting there in the stands, it's you, me, it's Eric Harris. We're in there. We're watching this thing unfold.
And the black guy that cashed out way too early.
Guys, so we have 4 seats. I sold one to just a random off the internet. And this kid comes, he's probably in his late 20s. So that's how old I am. I'm calling him a kid. And he's got money on the game. He bet $10.
It's in a parlay.
Money
line.
He hit everything except for the Bills the Bills winning the game.
Well,
on the money line.
You're missing out on the other 2 games.
What were they?
He had Minnesota money line over Detroit and Carolina money line over Green Bay. And coupled with the Bills money line.
Which is wild. So now you've had 2 improbable things happen in a single day, and your $10 bet is now going to pay out.
I think it was like $1,800.
They were offering him cash outs for $145, and he's looking at Chris, me, and Eric Harris, going, "I don't know, man. Should I take this money?" And we're like, "I don't even know you, but this is awesome. I love this. I love that this is happening."
I told him, I go, it's like the middle of the first quarter. I'm like, let it ride. We have a run game. Our run game is working. Let it ride.
Chris is pointing at him going, "Let it ride." Every time we'd get a first down, he'd point at him and go, "Let it ride." And then at one point, almost sheepishly, he looks at me in the late second and goes, "They're offering me $170. I got to cash this out." So he cashes out. Now on $10, $170 is a great profit. Do you know how sick this kid was in the 4th quarter? When it became apparent the Bills were going to close this thing out, he's like, "Dog, I could have had that $1,800. I was like, "This is sports betting. You can't Monday morning quarterback this. You made your point. You made your money. Take that money. And you can't. Don't lament it. You can't live and die in the past." But I would say, Chris, that this is up there with just as improbable an outcome for the game as the Minnesota game over Detroit, wasn't it?
I have no idea what happened in that game.
When you really think about this. You went on the road, Minnesota and J.J. McCarthy went on the road to a contender in Detroit and put on a show, scored more than 20 points, and won a game. And in the final stanza of the game, they trusted him. They trusted him to make plays. They trusted him to throw the ball when it mattered, and it worked. And so because of that, if you already have all this going for you, why wouldn't you believe the Buffalo Bills could pull this off? It's clearly a day of improbable things, because there's no one here in the chat right now who can tell me. Andrew Barber, alas, none will forget the yellow fever outbreak of 1792. Andrew Barber, Tell me that anyone watching this live went into this game going, "Oh no, we're going to lead comfortably for most of the game." No, there was no expectation of that. How could there be? The moment, Chris, that I knew, though, that we were going to be okay, or at least I had a feeling, was when Jalen Watson gets called for pass interference on that opening drive, and we get bailed out and we score a touchdown. We don't get those calls, not in these games. We don't get pass, even when they're think back to the last month of football games. How many times has pass interference gone our way?
Not often.
Not often. How many times have we watched our receivers get mugged and there's no flag? The fact that they threw it right there in the opening drive kind of sent the message to the Chiefs cornerbacks like, hey, I'm Carl Sheffers. I don't throw many flags, but I can throw in this one. Set the tone. Like Shorzy, I'm going to set the tone. We go down, we score a touchdown.
For me, where I was the most heightened of all right, this is where the Chiefs are going to do it, is the end of the second quarter where they just drove down the field and they got 3 going into the second half. I thought at that moment, okay, momentum has swung in favor of the Chiefs and they're going to take this the rest of the way.
I like this. Andrew Barber trying to hold people accountable in the chat. He goes, we all thought it would be a close loss. Don't you lie. And there's a lot. Roy Collins, I picked KC to win 34-20. Glad to be wrong. Chris, you didn't take him in your pool?
I took the Chiefs to win.
Eric Smeal is now beating you in that pool.
Well, no, he still lost last week, but I have a better overall record than him.
Boo.
Well, maybe not. I did get 8 wrong this week.
That was the moment that I knew that Sunday could be different. And I want to point out that I think we just watched the Buffalo Bills defense have a statement game. There's things that happen in the course of an NFL season where it changes the course of a year, and it changes the perception, not just from the outside, from us as fans, but also maybe from a coaching staff's own perception of what they have in terms of talent, what they're capable of, schemes that work. And they go, oh man, I don't know why we haven't been doing this for a while. Or maybe it's stuff they've been sitting on for a while going, well, we have to save it for this game because obviously it's important. And then you get to the game and you go, man, maybe we should have rolled this out sooner. This very much had the feeling of a game that the Buffalo Bills announced hey guys, all this detritus that you've been backing up as a fan base, as the national media, as maybe even inside the building that's been kind of festering. We just showed you that we are a well-run and quality unit that can play a cohesive game of football defensively, and that matters. This feels like old school Sean McDermott, Leslie Frazier defense, doesn't it?
Yeah, because McDermott's calling the plays. And now there's a lot to be said, right? Over the next couple weeks and over the offseason and on and on and on throughout, you can talk about how, hey, maybe this coaching staff isn't the greatest. Maybe our defensive coordinator's in over his head. But in this game, I understand the detritus. This is a Bills defense that came into this Chiefs matchup 24th in opponent third down conversion percentage, 19th in yards per play allowed, 31st in rushing yards allowed per attempt. There was no reason for this defense to ever get the benefit of the doubt, and everybody who's now walking it back, trying to, especially in the content creation community, who's trying to Monday morning quarterback this and go, well, we believed the whole time that they would figure this out. Bullshit! Bullshit! There's no way that any of you actually felt like that if you watched the games. If you watched that embarrassing tackling performance or against the Falcons and watched our offensive line basically no-show for the game. And even if you watched the Carolina game and you said, okay, we looked like we had trench presence. Great. Wonderful. You couldn't have expected this. Not this performance. I mean, this is a tweet from Mitchell Schwartz, not for nothing,
was a standout offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was quote tweeting Eric Turner from Cover One, where he was showing some of the creativity and how they pass rushed. Mitchell Schwartz goes, this was one of the most creative rush plans I've ever seen in a single game. An X stunt up the gut with two stand-up guys, with the second guy initiating a late turn and twist on the opposite side of the line. If it works, it's nasty. The offensive line doesn't see it coming, and it makes for muddy pockets. All the Buffalo Bills did was muddy the line of scrimmage. Okay? When you think about what we were for the last month and a half of football, uncomposed, the linebackers were a mess in terms of their communication, the safety play was subpar to what we know a Bills defense to be. Sunday, there's so many narratives that just got turned on their heads. You know, all of the talk about how Rap sucks, Rap is this, and then they put him on IR and go, no, he's actually been gutting out a really serious injury and he needs season-ending surgery. So he's done for the year. And we're going to put in Jordan Poyer. And everyone goes, no, not Jordan Poyer. Oh, no, everything's done. And then Jordan Poyer shows up and stabilizes the defense. Like, should that have been a precursor to this conversation? Like, maybe we noticed that all of a sudden Cole Bishop looks like he's confident. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants. He knows how to pick his spots and drive on a football all of a sudden. Chris, where did this come from?
Probably Sean McDermott and his coaching ability. I think for me as a whole, I don't want to see any of this play calling if we see him again in the playoffs. I'm gonna want to see something, because if you think about last year in the playoffs, who was it? Rousseau or Epineza was like, oh yeah, they were doing stuff that we didn't see on film, and we were fucked. So if you're gonna see the Chiefs again, do something completely different that also works. We're
going to talk about it at the end of the show. We may not see the Chiefs again, though. And that's kind of one of my takeaways from this game. Also, Cole Bishop, 7 targets, 2 receptions allowed for 18 yards. 4 pass breakups. 4. Do you know how far back in Cole Bishop's catalog you have to go back to find a game where he had multiple pass breakups in the same game?
He was at Utah.
It hasn't happened in a Bills uniform. This was the most in control and in phase and understanding what he needs to do on a given play and what's expected of him and who he's responsible for I've ever seen Cole Bishop play. And that's a byproduct of the fact that he even said it. He's like, oh yeah, it's a lot of film study, and it's also just I didn't have to worry about what was going on next to me. Imagine that, guys. If he doesn't have to worry about, do I need to cover for this guy who I know is hobbled and injured? Maybe I can just go do my job, and maybe I look really good doing it. So for all of the, why haven't the Bills signed a safety? Why haven't we traded for a safety? Why aren't we getting Buda Baker? Why aren't we signing Justin Simmons off the street for millions of dollars? It's probably because they're like, look, man, if we can ever just stabilize this, Cole Bishop might have some game in him. And he showed it this week. And to further that, I also look at what went on at defensive back. One of the things that has bothered me most about the discourse around our secondary is this idea where people scream about how Trey White is cooked. Like, people scream that Trey White, oh, this was a terrible idea. Brandon Beane, such a stupid idea. Do you know that they drafted a first-round draft pick at cornerback and then drafted another one in the 5th in Dorian Strong? Dorian Strong has what sounds like a very serious neck injury. Like, when we talk about injuries, his is probably, I don't want to say season-ending, it's probably career-ending. The way they're talking about it, the way he's dancing around like, I don't want to speak on it because of, sensitivity to the player. I'll let him have his space. That sounds ominous. I don't love that. I think Trey White was supposed to be the floor for our defensive back room. And then they piled rookies on top of it who they thought would eventually fill those roles and probably make guys like Jamarcus Ingram obsolete, because you could have a Trey White doing Jamarcus Ingram's job. which was funny to see Jamarcus Ingram out there being involved on plays like that knockdown at the end of the game in the end zone when Cole Bishop kind of knocks it away, and Jamarcus Ingram's right there. He's trying to run with him. He's part of that package. That would be a Trey White role in a perfect world. White and Benford have not looked themselves, but part of that is the safety room behind them. But after seeing just a single game of Maxwell Hairston and knowing that Trey White was platooning with Dorian Strong ahead of that, you have to assume, Chris, that this wasn't the plan. And now you look at what's happening with Hairston back. You got to see why he was the first round pick. Everybody loves the idea of that play, or at least the play itself. 2nd and 9, third quarter. They call up a 9 route up the sideline to Xavier Worthy, and he's the fastest player in combine history. He's going to run down the sideline. And Hairston doesn't, unlike other snaps, and here's what's different. We're going to talk about this in a second. In the preview to this, we talked about how the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers are in the top 20 for cushion given to them by opposing defensive backs, because the Chiefs do a lot of things. They draft a certain type of player, the way they cultivate their room. They want to have speed guys who can get open and do a specific role, play a specific role in their offense. And so in this way, the Bills were playing into that, but then every now and again, you'd watch them come down and all of a sudden play close to the line. So on this, in other snaps, Hairston doesn't give up a lot of cushion because Xavier Worthy finished the top 20 in the NFL this week for cushion per snap with almost 7 yards per play. They were giving Xavier Worthy in this game 7 yards of cushion on average. And Worthy had no notable production to speak of. He stays with Worthy all the way down the field and forces the incompletion. The thing that I was impressed with wasn't his speed, it was his intelligence. Because he got his head around, made sure that it was not impossible, but very difficult to throw a flag on him for pass interference, but then still found a way to make physical contact with the wide receiver. To be like, hey, I'm looking for the ball, but F you, I'm going to give you the business over here with the side. That right there, it's not impossible, but it's very difficult to call pass interference on a play like that. And that's heady stuff for a rookie who does not yet have a full game of reps as an NFL starter under his belt. Amazing chops. And then I think the best play that he had is one no one's talking about, where it's literally just Xavier Worthy on the outside, cuts it up and in. It's an in-breaking route about 9 yards downfield. And you watch Worthy start to separate, and Hairston's giving him the off coverage, giving him all that cushion. And the second that he breaks his route inside and tries to make himself available to Patrick Mahomes, Hairston just bombs him. And he's right there. And you see Patrick Mahomes just hesitate. Now it's a dump off. It's just, oh God, all right, well, that guy's coming. If you go back and you watch Max Hairston's collegiate tape, a lot of his interceptions that he got were passes that he's not intercepting over his shoulder. He's not catching it out here away from his body. It was on plays where the quarterback thought he had a shallow receiver open, and Max Hairston beats the man to his spot and gets the ball, wins inside leverage and intercepts the pass. The play that I saw with him and Xavier Worthy, he almost had that. And then you watched Patrick Mahomes almost acknowledge it and go, all right, well, I'm done testing this. I'm done testing that. If I see it, I'll just find somewhere else to go. And you took the fastest, most explosive player on the Kansas City Chiefs team and made them irrelevant. Just by having Max Hairston on the football field.
Not a scientist, but didn't they run a lot of dime?
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of dime, which they haven't done all season. I don't think Mahomes and them were ready for that, right? And that immediately played into, everyone's looking at the D-line going, oh, the D-line did well. There was twists and stunts, and they had game plans that they hadn't showed in previous games. But also the coverage on the back end is what made that pass rush so devastating. It's why Patrick Mahomes had a career worst day. It was the Eagles game all over again. The Bills didn't have to blitz in this game. They let their defensive line do the work, twists and stunts and exotic looks from the front seven. But it was the coverage units that won the day because Patrick Mahomes had no choice but to hold that football and go, Jesus Christ, is someone going to get open? And then finally just throw it. Chris, 44% for Patrick Mahomes. I'll never get over that. 44, sub 50% completion percentage. That's a hell of a day for your secondary, isn't it?
Yeah. Just wait till the playoffs.
I feel like in terms of the defensive line, I have to eat crow. Tracy Brewster, Mad Max, no training camp, no reps. Amazing how he's playing. Max Hairston might be the key to this defense finding its fastball. Because all of the teams we've played, we didn't have him against, and he's smaller, right? He's not a very physical cornerback because of his size. But at the same time, his ability to just make a guy unavailable. If you're a quarterback trying to make a high leverage throw and you're looking for a guy who looks like he's open, it makes it so much harder for a team who tries to beat you with two players the way the Falcons beat us. When they say, hey, we're just going to, like a teenager and playing Madden against their older brother, we're just going to spam Bijan Robinson and Drake London until we win the game. It makes it harder to do when you have a cornerback who just makes Drake London. It's like, okay, every catch is going to be a contested catch because this guy will stay right in his hip pocket. How many times does Drake London win that? And how many times does it end up a negative play? Your quarterback intrinsically will go somewhere else with the football if he finds an easier route. The problem is for Kansas City this weekend, there wasn't one because our defense did such a good job with the secondary staying connected and fluid in coverage. It was amazing to watch unfold in real time. So then you go back to the defensive line production and how it backstopped that and really made this. Yeah, Tracy Brewster saying on the TV, I heard more about 13 seconds than I cared to. How about this, Chris? On the truck ride home, we heard the guys on the WGR after the game, post-game show talking about Tony Romo and kind of throwing some shade at him.
Yeah. No. That was Greg Thompson.
Was it?
Yes, we put on, fourth wall. We put on cover one because Drew got mad at one caller.
I can't take radio callers. The second you, listen, I am just slightly more intelligent than the rest of you. That's it. That's all I have. I am slightly more intelligent than the rest of you. And when I hear people who feel qualified to call into the radio and then just make the most inane observations, I want to bite a chunk out of my steering wheel. I want to latch onto, like if it wasn't heated, I would latch onto that thing with my teeth and just rip a piece of it out. That's how I feel hearing radio callers. So it's like, you know what we're going to do, Chris? And I even took a screenshot and I texted Greg. I go, I hate you, but here we are. I'm listening to the Cover One post-game show. And as we're there, they're talking about this. I think about the defensive line and I want to talk about how good, like I have to eat crow. I was one of the people who was pounding the table for the Bills to trade AJ Epinesa.
Yes.
In retrospect, in light of the Hoecht injury, which is just devastating. Just a devastating injury to a player who played such a big, from the moment he joined the team, he was like our visibly most energetic defensive lineman. You can see why when Brandon Beane said, this is a guy I was targeting in free agency, but the Rams managed to keep him. I really wanted him then. I'm happy we got him now. And then he just to have this terrible luck. And then also let's talk about Michael Hoecht for a second. If you're talking about being a Buffalo Bill, in fact, no, I'll save it because I'll wrap with this. Not trading Epinesa in the offseason is looking more and more like a great move on Beane's part. Epinesa was once again one of the most disruptive defensive linemen. And also that form tackle that he puts on Patrick Mahomes late in the game It happened right in front of the refs. Kansas City Chiefs fans are furious about it. They're like, well, where's my roughing flag? Yes, because everybody who ever has hit Patrick Mahomes on the sideline has done it like a slob. AJ Epinesa did that clean. Clean as a whistle. Full body, no body weight on him, but it's a tackle. And you watch the effect again that it has on Patrick Mahomes, where he's like, wait, you're going to let him hit me like that? Oh, shit. Well, I better not run to the sideline again. I should probably just throw it away the next time this comes up. AJ Epinesa had himself what you want to see in terms of just an overall defensive day. I love that he's found a way to contribute in every single game. Multiple pressures, right? Multiple pressures, 2 quarterback hits. That one on the sideline is still my favorite. Like, he did it with class. He did it with aplomb. How many times have you ever heard of, like, I'm looking at the concept. Excuse me. I'm looking at the conversation happening here in the comment section. There we go. God, this rye is good. Spin, Hairston is the example of pure athleticism versus average players with high football IQ always in their spot. Exactly, Spin. This is how the Buffalo Bills win. The Chiefs draft a bunch of guys who are just super athletes, and we think we can coach them into following what our doctrine is. Be where we ask you to be. If you can match them athletically and put a little bit more physicality into the game, you throw the Chiefs off, especially this iteration of the Kansas City Chiefs, which is an interesting dynamic to watch play out. The way the Kansas City Chiefs are playing is un-Chiefs-like. It's not like them. And yet we're here to exploit it, and I love every second of that. And then you think about, like, who else? Greg Rousseau. Greg Rousseau had a phenomenal game. Chris, how many pressures do you think he ended the game with?
I have no idea.
Just take a guess in the chat. How many total individual pressures, guys, do you think that, how many total individual pressures does the chat think Greg Rousseau ended with? The first person to nail it by the number gets some Montucky Cold Snacks swag. Okay? I'm going to let that marinate for a minute.
See, being in that stadium, there was a certain offensive player that I was paying more attention to because there was a certain person between you and me that didn't like this player from the get-go. So that was clouding my mind and why I don't know what Greg Rousseau's pressure numbers were.
What I love is Eric Harris being, here we go, 7, 10, 9, 12, 5. There it is, Kyle the beer guy. First guy to nail it on the Nuggets, according to Pro Football Focus. He is 8 pressures, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, and 5 quarterback hurries, as well as 5 tackles as a defensive end. What are you laughing at?
God, I had bourbon go down the wrong pipe because spin is 6, 8, 9, 13, 11, 9, 8, 6, 8, 8, 7. Spin just dumped every number, every numerical number that he could think of.
Well, I almost think it's fitting. The first Montucky Cold Snacks swag giveaway we do, it goes to the guy who turned us on to Montucky in the first place. Congratulations, Kyle. I'll get a hold of you later tonight. It's dang, I almost went high. Greg Rousseau was a menace to this Chiefs team. And a lot of it had to do with the twists and the stunts and the exotic looks they were giving. A lot of it had to do with the dime defense. I wouldn't expect Greg Rousseau to replicate 8 pressures and a sack every week. But also, we talked about it coming into this. The Kansas City Chiefs have the worst offensive line they've had in forever. Why wouldn't our defensive ends look good against this team if they were worth their salt? And you got to watch the havoc they wreaked in this game. I think the people who are wondering, like, oh, why did the Chiefs look so bad? I don't know, go back to your Super Bowl. Why did the Chiefs look so bad? Because the Eagles knew that the interior offensive line was your strength and they didn't challenge them. Instead, they just They just beat the hell out of your edge off the edges of your offensive line and just wore those boys out. And that's what the Buffalo Bills did. We wailed on these guys. Your guards got worn down. I mean, Joey Bosa, that's the one I want to talk about. You want to talk about eating crow. So all the people who were mad.
You knock your fist on that table because he's not injured yet.
You want to talk about people who were down on players. Being down on Greg Rousseau stepped up massively in this game. And what I love about him was that he was impactful versus the run and the pass. Joey Bosa played a very specific role in the passing game. And, you know, Anthony Prohaska from Cover One had a tweet about his stats. And it's fascinating to me because he not only is like, oh, he was one of the better defensive linemen in the entire game. You know, you talk about Chris Jones. You go into these matchups and you expect that Chris Jones, like this is what makes the Chiefs special. They have guys like Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Rashee Rice.
Certain guys on the defensive line that just give up on certain plays when quarterbacks fall down twice before going into the end zone.
It remains something that will forever be on Chris Jones's like low light reel is that he allowed Trevor Lawrence to sit on the bench, get caught on national TV picking a booger. And then 2 minutes later, that guy would trip himself on a snap and then somehow pick up the ball and scramble past Chris Jones for a touchdown. A game-winning touchdown happened right in front of Chris Jones. I almost feel like Chris Jones looks old now. Joey Bosa against the Chiefs. Here's where I'll start. 1.5 sacks. Qualifies for first on the team now. 10 pressures. Rousseau was second. 1.4% pass rush win rate. Okay? First on the entire team. 32.3% pressure rate, which is first in the entire team, and 1.94% pass rush productivity. But then if you take a look at the entire NFL, take him out. 204 qualifying pass rushers. Joey Bosa, 22% pressure rate, first in the NFL. 12.9% pass rush productivity rate, tied for first with Aiden Hutchinson, who was like what, the number 2 overall pick in that draft?
Yeah, I thought Aiden Hutchinson was 1.
Was Hutchinson 1?
Ooh. Call in if you know.
Call in if you know.
or write in the comments.
A 20.9 pass rush win rate, which is 7th, top 10. 40 total pressures.
The green light channel. Trevor Lawrence looked like a white girl in a scary movie.
And then he has 4 sacks, which is tied for 30th in the NFL with Brian Burns, who's first with 11. Like, first is Brian Burns with 11, and then he's tied for 30th. Like, he doesn't get the sack numbers. But look at everything else Joey Bosa is doing for the Buffalo Bills. He's quietly one of the best defensive ends in the entire game right now. And we paid $12 million for that. Meanwhile, Micah Parsons cost what?
2 firsts and a 2 firsts and a training table.
I will say this. After the Hoecht injury, I want to talk about that for a second. Like, do you want to talk about what Michael Hoecht brings to this Buffalo Bills team? He waved off the... First of all, Kyle Trimble over at bangedupbills.com pointed out that he pass rushed on his rep with a torn Achilles. He took his 3rd step. There's the ripple. You see the calf pop. He's done. Every other athlete I've ever seen tear their calf muscle like that. Collapses to the floor. Grabs their leg. We've seen Trey White do it. I've watched basketball players do it multiple times over the last 2 years. Do you know what it takes for Michael Hoecht to continue his pass rush rep with a torn Achilles?
No.
This is psychotic. This is what Brandon Beane envisioned joining the Buffalo Bills defense, was a wild man.
Why you keep guns in your drop ceiling?
Maybe. So Michael Hoecht comes in, and then he comes out, and he's limping off the field. And I remember seeing it and going, well, that doesn't look good, but I don't know enough, and the signal in here is bad. I'm not getting good Twitter updates. It doesn't, I'm paying attention to the game. And I see him on the bench like a little while later. And then when I go to the bathroom, I see a tweet from Nate Geary where he's like, well, the cart's coming out for Hoecht. This is terrible. In my head, I was thinking it was like an ankle twist or something. The cart's coming up for Michael Hoecht. And I go, oh, damn, that sucks. And then I'm in the bleachers and I'm looking at the Bills bench and I go, well, wait, isn't that Michael Hoecht? I think I see him down there. Do you know that this guy waved off the cart and said, no, I want to be here on the bench for this game. I know what this game means. I'm not leaving. You can't force me out of here. Do you know the balls that takes? And do you know the message that like imagine seeing that? Like there's tough and there's toughness that permeates other people. That radiates outwards and it becomes
like
infectious.
It's like a hockey fight when like you're down 3-0 and somebody gets in like on you're down 3-0, like Andrew Peters gets into a fight and wins, and it's like towards the end of the period, so they're just going to the locker room, and then he just beats the fuck out of somebody and then skates past his own bench and yells at his team.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck are you gonna do now?
Wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up now. Everybody get up. Michael Hoyt's over here with a torn Achilles, and he's on the bench going, hey, boys, let's go. Everybody step up. It's time to do your job. What are you going to say to that guy? No, you're going to shut your mouth and you're going to go do your job. And then today, you know what he tweeted out at 4:39 a.m.? 4:39 in the morning. Michael Hoyt's still awake today. You know what he tweets out? Until death, all defeat is psychological. Be back soon. This guy's Frank Castle. He's the Punisher. We talk about it, how Frank Castle, you look at all the Marvel characters, and the only superpower that Frank Castle's ever had was just having more dog in him than anybody else. He's just the toughest, rowdiest guy that you can get your hands on. I swear to God, that's Michael Hoecht. I'll never be convinced of anything else. It's the craziest thing to be tweeting before 5 a.m. when you'd have a torn Achilles. And I hope that attitude permeates the rest of that line, being like, look, man, I'm out here and I'm ready to go. Joe Miller, I am pissed I missed the tomahawk chops.
Hey,
Yes,
but
sir.
on the bright side, you talk to #sports.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, look, you got to talk to Ryan Lasel and
Mario Granata and Paul Wineski.
I was going to say a 14-year-old playing Paul Wineski. No one would know the difference. Joseph Fryer, hell no, I won't go. Yeah, that was Michael Hoecht. That's ballsy. And that's what this team needs to find. And when you take a look at what they did to the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs, it was crazy. They kept them off balance all night in pass protection while also giving them no room to run the ball. Kareem Hunt had 49 rushing yards and 31 of them came after contact. But he only had one missed tackle forced, which he was getting met behind the line of scrimmage regularly by Bills defensive players. And only by the grace of God did he escape and make it out for a handful of yards. We also manhandled their offensive line in that goal line stand inside the one. Hollywood Brown gets over Christian Benford. You go, okay, there it is. There's the quick Chiefs score, whatever. There is a play that I will tweet out. If you follow us, if you don't, go do it now at Rockpile Report. I'm going to retweet it right now from my phone.
Or you can subscribe right here on YouTube.
Don't do that. Don't stop that. Creed Humphrey against Walker, Deion Walker. There is a rep in there where this is like Pro Bowl Creed Humphrey. This is Creed Humphrey, who is talked about as one of the best centers in all of football. Deion Walker eats Creed Humphrey's lunch on this rep and folds him in half while we just avalanche in on their offensive line and stop them for no gain. It's probably one of the more demoralizing reps Kansas City Chiefs fans have ever seen from their interior offensive line. We crushed them. And Chris, you know the play. We're the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Kareem Hunt. It's like a run off Trey Smith. It's basically off guard center. It's a halfback slam up the middle between the guard and center, and they are hoping that those two guys can pave the way for a 2-yard, hey, I fall forward for a touchdown. And instead you lose 2 yards because the entire interior of that line just caved in. Tell me that that's not demoralizing if you're the Chiefs, who are just like, listen, we're getting beat up by this D-line. Can we at least do this properly? Nope. Not even then. What are you laughing about?
Apparently, Sophie St. George in the comments, I think your hair could block a punt.
I love that other people are getting in on this. Screw your hair. It's awful.
No, it's amazing. Look at this. Look at my flow.
If you guys want to put a cherry on top before I move on to the offense, how good was the Bills' defense? Here's some numbers. Only 2 of Kansas City's wide receivers had 5 or more targets, Worthy and Rice. Neither had a catch percentage better than 57%. 0 passing touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes is a gross outlier in his entire career. Not just this season, but for everything he's ever done in the NFL. No passing touchdowns in a game is wild. If you can hold another team, never mind Kansas City, but any team to no passing touchdowns, the odds that they win those football games are slim to none. Generally speaking, you win the football game that week. Mahomes was coming into this game a career best 6 straight games with an average EPA per play of 7+. Do you know, or at least an EPA that he personally provided them, I should say, which is absurd. That means if he shows up, they score a touchdown. Before he accounts for a touchdown just by walking on the field. And the fact that we held him without one, like, he had the worst, ugliest night of his career. And then especially when it came to pushing the ball down the field. Chris, I said this to you in the stadium. I go, their deep passing game is fucked. You look at this, no one can get loose. No one's open down the field, but they're still trying to take shots because they're feeling pressure, and they think if they land a couple, it'll loosen up the running game. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. On throws of 20 or more yards downfield, under 50%, 4 of 9, 120, no touchdowns, and 1 pick. 10 to 19 yards, 4 of 8, 50%, 82 yards, no touchdowns. When pressured, a 20% completion percentage. When's the last time Patrick Mahomes had a 20% completion percentage?
It's been a while. Oh, we got to get to this in the comments. Our roadie, we need to keep them under 1,000 subscribers. and then Bryce Erdwin, if it gets close, I'll unsubscribe.
See,
and then I also, if you can go through I have amazing hair, is what everyone is saying.
Our superpower is also like, it's a double-edged sword being petty. What you do is you cultivate the pettiest fans, who then also are petty to you back. I respect the hustle, guys. I respect it. At the end of the day, the Bills combined all these things on defense to win time of possession. We are now the #1 team in the NFL in time of possession margin, and that matters. What that tells you is that even though you don't agree with the way we move the ball on offense, we power through on defense, and it's winning the day. When you win time of possession by almost 10 minutes, you better win that football game. And the Bills are finding what makes them efficient on offense. And I feel like this is, if anything else, the Buffalo Bills finding their offense this week makes me feel like we are Adam Sandler And we just learned that you could catch the dodgeball. And now all of these elementary school kids are in a lot of trouble. Josh Allen returned to his MVP form in the biggest moment of our 2025 season. He looked every bit as the guy that we thought he could be. I want to ask a question to the chat, to you, Chris. 88.5% completion percentage for Josh Allen with this wide receiver core. Is it more in the way that we did it? Do you think it's more impressive than Drake May's 90%?
I'm going to say no. Drake's in his second year, correct?
Sure, but do you know how he did it?
No, I'm just
He had
saying.
one pass beyond 10 yards?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying Drake May, he's in his second year, and he's had two completely different coaching staffs. So that's kind of impressive to where you didn't get your career killed by the first coaching staff, and you were able to save face with Vrabel and Josh McDaniels.
Hang on. Chris could wear a Mahomes helmet. It's huge up top. Mahomes looked like Mr. Gazoo and the Flintstones with a helmet. Mr. Gazoo. You know what, Steve, you're so old, nobody knows that reference, but I get it. I do it. The Great Gazoo. And I love Joe Miller. He goes, I bring this up all the time. What's up with that guy's helmet? What is he hiding in there? Remember that one time where he blew a piece of it off and they made him come out and change his helmet out? I do remember that. Spin in the comments. Time of possession also means you're sustaining drives. 100%. When you look at what the Buffalo Bills did in this game, it was wild in the context of what we expected from their offense and what we know them to be. We've known them to have their share of brain farts. We know them to be this inefficient offense that has like a big play here, a big play there, and then a couple drives where they absolutely just shit their pants. You look at this for the Buffalo Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. 7-minute drive to open the game, 11 plays. Okay? And then they come out in the second half. They come out 8 with the, what is it? One play that runs 8 plays, but 4 minutes and 45 seconds of clock, and then they punt. And then another one that only runs 3:57, but they score a touchdown. They do very well in those scripted scenarios. In fact, there's a tweet about that I was looking at where it's like if you run down what they've done, the Buffalo Bills on opening drives. I've got it here. So these are the scripted drives, quote unquote. The opening drive of the game or the opening drive of the second half. And in fact, this one's just, in fact, here, I'll just give you the opening drive. Touchdown, 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 fumble, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. When Joe Brady can script a drive and they can do film study, this team eviscerates other teams. It is hard to get the Buffalo Bills off the field early, and we gain that early advantage and then try to lean on it with everything else that we have. The reason I asked the question about Drake May and whether or not you thought that was like, do you think that Drake May's 90% completion percentage day with one deep pass was impressive? Josh Allen getting 88.5%. NFL Next Gen Stats charts Josh Allen at a career high 38.5% of his snaps or his attempts thrown behind the line of scrimmage. But he also completed 6 of 7 for 158 and a touchdown throws that went 10 or more yards downfield, which is something Drake May didn't do. And so all these people who are like, well, the Patriots have the next Drake. It's like, okay, you can say that. Go do it. Go be this guy. And I want to talk a little bit about that behind the line passing. Joe Brady showed me something this week that he's willing to learn. Chris, the reason we lose that Falcons game is because time and time again, they're showing us a blitz. And he's still dialing up mesh concepts that take forever to come across the line, crossing the center, and then guys are going to... The guys in the middle of the field are not looking for the football. They're trying to get open and then turn upfield or turn into whatever their route's supposed to be after that, like depending on the play call, depending on where they're going. It was chaos. And Josh Allen is just being harried and he's under pressure and it's terrible. And you saw more of it in the Carolina game. This was the first game where the Buffalo Bills said, all right, if you're going to pressure us, you're going to show a blitz, screw you. We'll throw a quick look at Khalil Shakir's stat line. Khalil Shakir in this game saw more targets than he had in the last two. And what I love about that, like, let me go verify this. I want to get the right number here. Targets. Khalil Shakir led the team. 7 catches on 8 targets. Do you know that his average depth of target was 0.2 yards from the line of scrimmage when you average it all out? Because all we did was say, okay, Khalil, here's what you're going to do for us this week. Everybody knows when the ball gets in your hands, you can create. You're going to be the thing that neutralizes their blitz. Because as soon as they show it, screw it. We'll check into a screen and just throw it out. And now Spagnuolo sits back and goes, oh, shit, well, we can't keep giving up 5-6 yards on negative yard passing plays. I'll back the linebackers back a little bit just to make sure that Khalil can't get over the top of us. And then Josh Allen has time to operate because the offensive line now can handle what is the Chiefs' pass rush. If they're talking about bringing 4 or even bringing 5. Joe Brady, I have to give him a lot of credit. He's taken a lot of flack. But being able to find this thing in his game speaks to the fact that as a coordinator, he's willing to take a humbling and then kind of reevaluate his approach and tweak it. And that tells me that there's still hope for this. I'm just trying to catch up with the comments here, Chris. What do we got going on?
Well, I'm going to start with Pat right off the bat. I mentioned earlier in the show that, okay, whatever we ran on Sunday against the Chiefs, I don't want to see any of that if we have to play them in the playoffs.
Nope.
Completely different game plan because, last year it was either Rousseau or Epinesa was like they were doing shit that we didn't see when we saw them in the regular season last year. So that's what I'd like to see if we have to see him again in the playoffs. Completely different game plan. Kyle Washington, this was the most balanced offense that we've had, that we've always wanted. We shouldn't expect Josh to put up 300 yards every game.
No, nor should he. But I'll tell you what, he balances out with his legs and his toughness, and you saw a little bit of him. Like for nothing, he broke Cam Newton's record for quarterback rushing touchdowns in this game, including the playoffs. And then he also passed Earl Campbell and Pete Johnson for 24th on the NFL's all-time touchdown scorers list. If he scores 2 more, he's going to catch Thurman Thomas for the club record with 81 touchdowns. Chris, he's the GOAT. He is the GOAT. To hell with Tom Brady. And what I loved is the way he hung in the pocket and bought extra time. For weeks now, this is a guy who's been criticizing his feet, his mechanics, and we as fans have claimed that he was caping for the offensive coordinator. But then you saw this week where multiple times he hung in the pocket and bought extra time, and that extra half a second generated a big play. There's 2 of them right off the top of my head. The play where Elijah Moore legitimately climbs the ladder and goes and gets this ball that might have been one of the more dangerous passes Allen's thrown all season. And he hung it out there, and Elijah Moore came up with it. 28-yard strike, sets up Allen's second rushing touchdown. Then the 47-yard catch and run by Dalton Kincaid. That doesn't happen if Josh Allen leaves the pocket early. Instead, he hung in there, took a little bit of a lick at the end of the play, but he delivered a catchable ball. Put it where he had to, in space, with momentum. I just feel like getting some semblance of like, hey, this is the quarterback that I thought I was going to have, almost gives Joe Brady like peace, right? Because James Cook is a great talent. And the way that he runs behind this offensive line, we've sung his praises enough. But when Josh Allen can play like this, you win games like that. That's it. Joe Brady feels more confident to mix and match his calls, get the tight ends more involved, get more exotic with who he's dialing up plays for and the routes he's calling, and the fact that he's involving Elijah Moore at all. Even though, you know, we when we signed him in the offseason, we thought that he was going to be a great addition to this attack, and he's been largely neglected. And in this game, he comes up with one of the biggest catches. And it's a crazy play where it takes athleticism and it takes, hey, I have a feel for this, and it also takes a trust from the quarterback. Chris, why aren't we going to see more of that going forward? Why wouldn't we?
I don't know. We're in the comments discussing a Rockpile Report, Overreaction Buffalo, Talking Buffalo, Megapod.
Why wouldn't we do that?
2 A10 Mini Pros, 6 cameras. You could have a camera specifically on Joe Miller's jeans.
We call it skinny jeans cam. We just cut to it. And what do the skinny jeans think? And it just cuts away to him. Tank Ninja, Kansas City's edge the last 2 to 3 times we played them in the playoffs isn't the game plan. It's their difference makers being healthy and the Bills signing A.J. Klein as the 9th string linebacker. That is a point. The Bills are still susceptible to this. Don't get me wrong. We are not the healthiest thing in the entire world. What we do have, though, is that we seem to have found our identity. Okay, this was a statement game for our defense where I think they showed like, hey, guys, hey, every offensive coordinator right now has to look at the tape that the Bills just put out against the Chiefs and they go, oh, shit. The Bills have a whole bunch of nonsense in their bag. Damn it. All right, well, I guess we can't bank on the team that just missed a bunch of edge tackles against the Falcons. They're clearly going deeper into play calling. On the offensive side, they've clearly outlined what our strengths are and gone, hey, if we can do this, if we can do X, Y, and Z, here's how we beat a team that wants to blitz us. Now we have a solution. You know what it is? Screen passes. You want to blitz me? You want to show pressure? I'll screen pass you to death.
Is this where we discussed that I called a Ty Johnson screen pass in the first quarter?
You
like
did.
I always do. And I also, not for nothing, I did call the Dalton Kincaid touchdown. I called that too.
And I want to talk about Dalton Kincaid because the secret sauce, right? Like they were on fire this week. The tight end room was authoritative in every way, shape, and form. Jackson Hawes was out there laying lumber on guys in the blocking game. Dawson Knox was out there being great. But do you know who really put their fingerprints on this game and qualifies for Hero of the Week?
Sabres?
Eric Harris's favorite player, Bills tight end Dalton Kincaid.
Don't take it personally, all right? Franchise star players are a lot like Highlanders. There can only be one.
I had to Google it. Do you know that the last Bills tight end to catch 100 yards in a game, who do you think it was?
Pete Metzelaars.
Nope. It was Dawson Knox against the Kansas City Chiefs in 2021. Dalton Kincaid had a statement game. This was a week of statements. This was the Bills defensive coordinator saying, hey, we're back. Or whether that's Sean McDermott, whether it's Bobby Babich, it doesn't matter at this point. The Bills defense putting a statement out there to the NFL like, hey, we back up. You know? And then it was the offense going, hey, look, if you want to blitz us and you think the book's out on us, great. Go ahead and try that. We will humble you. And then when you have to back your linebackers up, our rushing attack is a road grader. We will punish you with this thing, and you can't control it. But then you throw a Dalton Kincaid in the mix. Eric Harris, longtime listener of the podcast, has been ear-beating us, or I shouldn't say ear-beating us, but beating us to death in our text messages for the last 3 years about Dalton Kincaid. He hated the pick. He hates the player. He thinks he's soft. He thinks it's a waste. There's this, there's that. He should be doing this. He should be doing that. So it was only fitting that he was sitting right next to me as Dalton Kincaid just put on a show, just put on a clinic of what an NFL receiving tight end should be. catches away from his body that were difficult, that took body control and hands. 100% catch percentage, 6 targets, 6 receptions. 5th in the entire NFL this week for yards after the catch per reception. Just dominating in the open field. 40% of the entire team's total targeted air yards. Dalton Kincaid was the deep passing attack. He was it. Chris, how good was it to watch Eric's face as this was happening?
I think what the kicker is that Eric lives in Portland. So I think Eric's only been to 2 Bills games. The Giant game a couple years ago, and then this one. So the fact that a player you hated we picked balls out in one of 2 games you've been to makes it better.
It is. It's very it's advantageous for me because I got to be there to see it firsthand and just watch him kind of quietly be humbled by it. And I love Eric. Eric got to sit in my house, drink a beer with me while we got my kid off the bus yesterday, which I was like, this is awkward, but I don't know what else to do. But I also don't want to be like, hey, drive around the city aimlessly until we come back. Go find something else. I was like, just come back to my house. People who know me, Hugo from Portugal knows this. Hey, just come over to my house. I don't care. Like these are the things. And my wife has learned to just accept that that's how I handle people from out of town. Look at the spin. Kincaid, 108 yards in week 5, 2025 was the last time a Bills tight end got 100 yards in a game. Yep. Yeah, it was.
Not Knox.
Oh, wait. Well, I was talking about against Kansas City.
Okay.
You're right, Spin. I misspoke. Whiskey's a hell of a thing. What I do love is that we're now finding out that the secret sauce. So you've got Dawson Knox, who has 100-yard games. You now have Dalton Kincaid, who has 100-yard games. You have both players who have made critical touchdowns or big plays when necessary. And then you have Jackson Hawes, who's just out here roughhousing people. And then I saw Steve Noble say it, I need more Reggie Gilliam, like I need me some more cowbell. I'll tell you what, Reggie Gilliam, Chris, the fact that they're mixing him into the offense more, do you know his offensive production has increased every single week for the last 3 games?
Checks out.
Since the bye week, you've watched his presence. He's been more notable on the field since the bye week. You know, you talk about what you learn and hey, I saw this thing. We did some self-scouting and we realized we might have had, maybe we're making a mistake. Reggie Gilliam is probably one of those because every game I watch, we sit in the all-22 view. I get to watch in real time during that Chiefs game, Reggie Gilliam digging linebackers out of holes for James Cook. In that Carolina game, Reggie Gilliam made a bunch of really nice second-level blocks. Incorporating Reggie Gilliam into this offense has changed or at least made it more dynamic than it was before, and it was already the engine of the offense. I feel like the secret sauce now gets an extra spice with a little bit of Reggie Gilliam. And Chris, it once again becomes a thing that is going to power our team for the foreseeable future. It's not the wide receiver room. The wide receiver room is almost like here just as an ancillary. It's the tight end room and running back room that's going to win us or lose us most games. True or false?
That's 100% true.
And this performance did nothing but underscore that. I love it. I'm happy for Dalton Kincaid, and I'm happy it happened right in front of Eric Harris. Now, as I go get a fresh beer so I can properly do this, the Montucky Cold Snack freezing cold performance of the game. The one that makes you want to reach for more Montucky, make you wish you had more beer in the fridge. Sean McDermott's timeouts.
You folks fell on your face. You get an F- in my book.
For those of you watching on TV, you're lucky you didn't have a microphone on me because when Sean McDermott called timeout after the catch there, and then they set up the after the sack, and they set up 4th and 17, and Sean McDermott calls a timeout, right? To spend a timeout in a game that might come down to a final drive where you have to have all of your assets at your disposal, to waste a timeout on a 4th down play that you don't even prevent the conversion for, it's enraging. It feels like malpractice. I feel like I'm owed a rebate on my ticket because I watch my coach out here doing things that if I had a lawyer, I'm pretty sure I could sue for. If this was a hospital, I should be able to sue Sean McDermott for that timeout. And then, I told
Dan, who sits next to us, he brought a buddy with him who's just like you. And I was like, you have your own Drew. Dave is just like Drew. He's next to me yelling about timeouts.
Me and Dave commiserated about this. Joe Miller in the comments. The defense was confused. Communication was a serious problem in that game. Happened twice. This is what I want to talk about because in that moment, okay, I had to open multiple beers for this. I sat next to Eric Harris and I complained about the timeouts, and I said, I can't believe we're doing this. And then I texted him once I got home, and he was like, hey, are you cool? I'm cool. Hey, we both made it back. Hey, we're still alive. And I go, hey, look alive. I'm going down a rabbit hole because I want to see just how bad this dynamic has been this season. Because I sent out a couple shitty tweets, snarky things where I was like, I can't. Ownership needs to talk to him about this NFL worst timeout usage. Chris, what do you think I learned when I dug into how the Buffalo Bills use defensive timeouts? Because they do at a higher rate than most teams in the NFL.
Tracy in the comments says, I heard one timeout was because we had 12 men on.
So let's talk about this. I went back and charted a bunch of the games and when we use timeouts and how. So this was me screaming about Sean McDermott being like, oh, again, just another low-hanging fruit. Sean McDermott sucks. And it's very easy to take that track when they do something you don't like. Go back to the Ravens game. We took a timeout on 3rd down, and on the next play, there was a fumble by running back Justice Hill because we adjusted our run fits. Later in that game, with a minute 30 left in the or actually, no, that was in the first half. A minute 30 left in the second half, took a timeout and generated no gain by Lamar Jackson on a quarterback keeper. Forced a field goal and left time for Prater to go down, score a field goal. Kept the game close. Against Miami, second quarter, he calls a defensive timeout on 3rd and 7, and Tua gets an 8-yard scramble for a first down, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. What a waste. This is stupid. This is asinine. Later in the game, takes a timeout on 3rd down, and Tua throws an incomplete pass to Malik Washington. He's not wrong, just he got lucky. He got lucky, but it worked. Forces a punt. We go on to win the football game. Against the Patriots, 2nd and 7, the Bills take a defensive timeout. Mace scrambles for 9 yards and a first down. And you go, why are you doing this to me? Again in the second quarter, 1st and 7, they call a timeout. May has a keeper for no gain. Then, end of the game, right? They're taking a timeout. And after a 19-yard reception, the Patriots didn't move the ball, but they didn't have to. Timeouts weren't strategic. They were just more to stop the clock. So I go back through these games, and then I get to the Chiefs game, and I look at these timeouts. So here I am approaching this from a place of Sean McDermott doesn't know how to use timeouts. He sucks. He keeps burning them on defense. This doesn't make any sense. And then I go back and I actually rewatch the game, and I'm watching it. First quarter, it's 4th and 3. Players just not lined up properly. Just nowhere near. And when you go back and watch the replay, it's Epinesa, Hoecht, and Rousseau are all waving their arms emphatically and pointing and pointing and pointing. And you recognize like they're yelling about something. And it becomes very clear. Jordan Phillips, who's out there as the 3 tech on the play, as part of their NASCAR package. Hey, we're going to put a defensive end on the inside, 2 defensive ends on the outside, and we're going to come in. Oh, Jordan Phillips has no idea where the hell he's supposed to be. He's not lined up properly. And Sean McDermott sees this and has to call a timeout. It's hilarious that fans who already don't have a lot of love for Jordan Phillips' returned presence to the Buffalo Bills, this guy doesn't know the play well enough to be lined up appropriately in that moment. Chris, that seems like a major miss, right?
Yeah.
After the timeout, Bills shuffle around. We get the 4th down stop.
Joe Fryer, 60% of the time, they work every time.
It's so bad. Second quarter, he takes the timeout after Hollywood Brown's catch inside the 1-yard line with 20 seconds left. You take that, though, and I'm like, this is stupid. You're literally, like, you're not pressuring them. But the Chiefs are already hurrying to the line to run a Kareem Hunt run up the gut. On the ensuing play, like that's their fastball in the red zone. It's just let me get Kareem Hunt and let me get Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith on you guys up the middle, and we're going to run it up the gut. And if it's less than a yard, it's almost a gimme touchdown. And instead, because we called the timeout, they were able to get the big guys in there, roll out their goal line defense. And Walker was able to manhandle the interior of that Kansas City line. Chris, that's a thing of beauty.
Just like that Noah Osland goal that just happened a couple minutes ago.
They literally saved the game on that play because what should have been worth 7 became a 3-point play. It changes the complexion of the game. And so here I am like an idiot, just screaming about the timeouts. And I realize that's not the problem.
Are you a McDermott apologist? Joe Miller wants to know.
I'm not an apologist. What I am, the timeouts that I've been pissed about, they're actually saving our ass. The question is, why are you still so disconnected? Why is it that you have players coming into this game who do not know where to be? At this point in an NFL season, you have players who are coming off the bench, running it onto the football field, and have no concept of where they need to be, even though their number's getting called. Does that not worry anyone? Doesn't that make you think there might be a broader problem here? This is from Mike Sando of The Athletic. Okay? A quote from an anonymous NFL head coach who watched the Bills-Chiefs game. Buffalo wants to get into a designer coverage on 4th and 17, and all the DBs are yelling and pointing at each other, so they have to call a timeout. Buffalo is more stressed out about 4th and 17 than Kansas City is in that moment. That's an outsider who is highly qualified to speak on it because he's an NFL head coach. It's not just us whiny fans pointing out that Sean McDermott's defense has no composure and doesn't seem to know what the hell they're supposed to be doing. That's a problem. And it's becoming more regular. But also, it was a staple of the early season defense, and we seem to slowly be weeding it out here. And I guess if you've made the decision that you don't need to trade for another defensive player to stabilize things, and you don't need to trade for a wide receiver to improve your passing attack and increase your scoring, there will be games where those timeouts are necessary to save your offense for a game-winning drive. So at what point, what are you going to do to make sure your coaching staff is aligned? To make sure that everybody involved with this, from the coaches to the players to the play callers, understand what's being asked of these guys in the moment, and they're all on the same page. I don't know what it's going to take, Chris. This is embarrassing.
Steve Noble in the comments. Walker tossed Humphreys around like a rag doll. I couldn't go past that comment.
Walker has been a breath of fresh air. He's been one of the greatest things to happen to the Bills defense this season.
Do you know how
in a year when a lot of bad things happened?
Do you know how Creed Humphreys doesn't get what he needs to do to not get tossed by Walker in that situation? We just need to draft him. Then he just gets
to be drafted by the Buffalo Bills.
Then he just gets tossed in practice, and no one hears about it.
I will say that I'm not being an apologist, some of this discombobulation among our players when it comes to some of these specialty plays, a coaching staff that's still not aligned. How many replacement players have we been shuffling in and out week after week because everybody's been hurt? Nobody gets any consistency. Nobody gets any time on the field. It's Bill's defense, a well-foiled machine. Sophia, you're hilarious. McDermott's so lucky Harrison is looking like he is looking. Imagine if he looked like Elam. The Bills Mafia would go bonkers. Yeah, see, luckily they don't have to care about what we think. They just have to go win football games. But I will say that with McDermott installing himself as a quality control coordinator for the defense, things are improving, Chris, and you can't say they're not.
Yeah.
Like you said it. You're like, well, he's the play sheet, and ever since he's had it, things are going well. What are you going to do? What are you going to naysay that? Maybe this is what's required. So for everybody who goes, oh, they don't care. No, they do care. He just doesn't want to tell everybody else, hey, you're fired. Mid-season defensive coordinator. Now I have to take over play calling again. Great. He's trying to teach him because I think he's probably sees something in him. It's just not happening enough. And I'll tell you what, I'm actually, for once, I'll say this, I'm happy for Sean McDermott's involvement. As we wrap this up, my final thoughts on the game. For you guys in the comments, I want to know, does it feel like, does the season now going forward feel different after it did, like before it did, before this Chiefs game? Because that win over the Carolina Panthers with Andy Dalton, the quarterback, had no juice to it. Do you feel like they're back? Because I'll tell you what, the Chiefs fans don't, like, all the things we complained about early this season, you're seeing it on screen right now.
Yeah, fuck that up.
Yeah, you did, but it's okay. Everything that we've been complaining about, Chiefs fans have suddenly found their way to. Chris, isn't that rich?
Yeah.
Isn't it hilarious that they have decided that now they've decided that they, like, we're the put upon franchise. Oh, everything is terrible. Everything's bad. Like, what's this Twitter handle's name? Like, I want to make sure I get it right. HBT Chiefs. He says, I keep seeing these comments along with Andy Spags going vanilla, saving plays for the postseason. Why would they risk falling to 5-4 for the sake of, quote unquote, saving it for the playoffs when they're third in the division and currently not in the playoff picture? So much of the discourse from Chiefs fans was wrapped up in this afterwards going, oh, typical Bills Super Bowl, but we'll get you in the other side. It's like, yeah, there's nothing about this that's orthodox. Do you want to know why? I want to give you a little context for this game and what it meant to the victor. The Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs are 14-11. These three teams have not collectively been this bad since Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen's rookie years in 2018. Generally speaking, it's these three teams vying for who's going to take the top three of the top four spots in the conference. And now they're fighting just to win their divisions. It's a whole different year. A lot of things got turned upside down. And yet, some people didn't get the memo, Chris. Some analysts went above and beyond to try to make the Bills sound and feel lesser than. Do you want to play the audio?
The Bills stink, okay? They actually stink. They have no good players outside of two people. We all know their names. Your team has the better coach, better quarterback, better interior pass rusher, better quarterback.
I'll bet that stings a bit.
Better receivers.
I'll bet that stings a bit.
The Bills kind of, sort of, definitely stink. They went to Atlanta and got rolled, okay? They couldn't tackle anyone in that game. I understand that. We've watched the Chiefs eliminate the Bills 4 of the last 5 years in the postseason, right? And I know over the last 4 years, we've watched the Bills win the first game in this matchup. You know, I understand that this game is in Buffalo. They stink, okay? And it's going to take a Herculean effort from Josh Allen, James Cook, maybe Khalil Shakur, and Tyler Bass to keep this thing close, okay? Last thing I'll do, ladies and gentlemen, to prove that your Buffalo Bills stink. They beat the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Panthers, okay? They stink. All those teams stink. They stink. The only reason they won those games is because they have a better quarterback and a better running back and maybe a better coach than all the other teams. But they stink, okay? They're not even leading their division. You know why? Because they stink. They lost to that team. They lost to the Patriots at home. Drake May and one qualified receiver is Stephon Diggs. You know why they stink? Chiefs have 5 qualified receivers in this game. Go on. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong, Nate Taylor, Chiefs writer for ESPN. One more reason why when all of these TV wars are going on and you have people going, hey, guess what? Here's a website you should go to help support ESPN's fight against YouTube. No, I don't need any more of your programming. Just give me the damn games. Just give me one thing where I can go to and watch all your sporting events, because literally everything and everyone else that you promote and produce are garbage. They're all trash people. It's Cam Newton in a hat looking like he should be playing an accordion, singing Hey Ya. And then it's this guy, Nate Taylor from ESPN, the Chiefs beat reporter. Jesus. He invoked Tyler Bass.
Who hasn't played?
Who hasn't played?
Somebody hasn't done their research.
It's hilarious that we're still living in this world. But then if you're being fed that nonsense and then you watch this game, how do you feel as a Chiefs fan? You go, wait a minute, I thought these Bills sucked. I thought they stink. Well, apparently not. They don't stink as bad as the Kansas City Chiefs, who had the worst performance since they got destroyed in the Super Bowl. This was their worst game since then. And so now you look at this through that lens and go, this is how the national media still sees things, which is why you can't take them. Like you have to, you can't listen to this anymore. This is a whole different season. We are literally at the halfway point, and we saved our season with this game. I legitimately believe that. I think that this game saved our season, because what I see is that it's these 3 teams, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Bills, fighting for the AFC. But right now, yeah, we might represent the most talented teams in the AFC, some of the best coached teams in the AFC, but they all have their work to do in order to separate themselves in the middle of the pack. And right now, with the victory over the Ravens and now the Chiefs, we have the inside track. Out of all the teams that have underperformed despite having the talent to be an AFC winner, we're the ones who did the job when we played the guys. We don't get to play the Colts. We probably won't until the postseason. But a win like this tells you I will see that game.
Rephrase that. We won't play Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones until the playoffs. That makes it seem less scary.
I'm not worried about the Colts. What I know is we're in week 9 of the NFL season, the halfway point, and neither the Chiefs or Ravens are currently sitting in a playoff spot, and the Buffalo Bills are. So all of their pundits can talk their shit. All their fans can say whatever they want. I don't care. I just know that we're here. We're here. We're in it. And the Patriots almost lost to the Falcons. Okay. We'll be here. We'll wait in the weeds. Just now, we are Michael Myers, in the spirit of Halloween just having passed. We'll Michael Myers you. Run, run, run. Get out to a lead in the AFC East and enjoy your time in the sun, because we'll stalk you down. And at the end of the day, we'll catch you and we'll get you. Go talk to Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins in week 18 about that. I don't care. We'll make it happen.
I need a therapist right now.
If the Bills can put up the type of numbers and get the type of performance out of their defense that we've seen over the last 2 weeks, like maybe they actually have found what this team requires to be successful. And the rest of the NFL better be on notice. I love it. But I got to get the hell out of here tonight. Chris has already given me the wrap it up signal like multiple times, and I've waved him off.
Well, at least my Sabres lose an OT. Not good. But next week, we're going to have a Dolphins recap. The history between a certain podcaster that we have on the show and a certain radio host who also has bets on here, mainly this one up top here. Nate Geary's going to be here on Tuesday, live on YouTube, to recap that Dolphin game and the preview for the Tampa Bay game.
And we're going to have a whole new look.
I don't think we should talk about that.
Okay.
I think come see us.
Come check out the Rockpile Report next week.
Yeah, Nate Geary's going to be here. It'll be a fun time. Wrap it up now.
Guys, I love you. I love everybody else who showed up here tonight, who's listening live at home, who's listening in their cars, who's listening at work. But for tonight, I got to get the hell out of here. I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger. The Buffalo Bills have just beaten the Kansas City Chiefs, and this has been your Rockpile Report. God bless and good night.